Good afternoon, President Blomberg, alumni and friends. I'm pleased to join you today on this special occasion and to serve as your host for the Alumni Awards ceremony this year. My name is Abby Chakowski. I'm a proud alumna from the class of 2010 at Ursinus and have served in the Office of Advancement for the past 9 years. I am beyond humbled by the company I keep on this stage and proud to celebrate the accomplishments of such special fellow bears today. It's great to see so many of you here today in joining us to celebrate our distinguished honorees. Each year during Alumni Weekend, we welcome alumni back to campus to foster their love of learning, to celebrate their class reunions, and to recognize our esteemed graduates and students at our annual Alumni Awards ceremony. True to our humble roots, our graduates go on to make significant impacts in their communities, but rarely seek the praise for their work. How fortunate are we to bear witness to their paths and revel in this honor with them. We are pleased to present this year's Alumni Awards to a stellar group of graduates and students, including the Alumni Award for Professional Achievement, recognizes an individual who has reached significant professional achievement. The Alumni Award for Service to Humanity recognizes and pays tribute to an individual who has established outstanding service to society. The Henry P. and M. Page Laughlin Award for Educators is given to recognize excellence in the field of education. The Rising Star Award recognizes the outstanding accomplishments of a graduate of the last decade. Finally, we present 2 students with Senior Alumni Awards. This afternoon, we will honor a select few for their academic and professional accomplishments. Previous winners have included a Nobel Prize winner, a former ambassador to Egypt, an architect of the Camp David Accords, a former head of the Women's Health Initiative at the National Institutes of Health, and an Olympic medal winner. Quite an impressive group. Before we begin, let me share some information on the Alumni Award nomination and selection process. Each year, the college solicits nominations from alumni, parents, students, faculty, and staff. This year, the pool of candidates was extremely competitive, with 22 alumni nominated within each of the 4 alumni categories and 18 nominations for the Senior Alumni Awards. Once nominations are received by the college, profiles are completed on each of the nominees and completed packets with extensive CVs and bio sketches, along with narrative nominations, are shared with the nominations committee. This diverse group of volunteers is made up of members of the National Council, an alumni faculty member, and a member of the Advancement Committee of the Board of Trustees. Members of the committee include Patricia Clark Bowman, Megan Brody, Michael Sharapa, Tim Cosgrave, Mark Hickey, Kate Leitner, Emily McEvely, and Julie Tran. The college is in your debt for your hard work and vision. At this time, it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Bernie Master, class of 1962, to the stage. He has the distinct honor to introduce this year's honoree for professional achievement.
What a great day to receive an award. I feel like we're all rewarded with such a beautiful campus. I was here in, my last visit was in 98, when I received the same award as my nephew, Matthew. Yeah. Matthew is a remarkable person. He is my sister, my dearly departed sister's oldest son, and he has a pristine record and more than honorable life, and he's a great role model for his children, Shayna Rose and Chloe, and he has a wonderful wife, Kathleen. They're in the front row. When I was back here in '89, I'm all tangled up in my undershorts here. So was here in '89, I got a chance to see Matt's room in Curtis. You needed a hazmat uniform to go in there. I think I have it. Yeah.
We're making a new fashion statement.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this is impressive.
Don't do anything in a simple way. Thank you.
We're building anticipation.
Yes, we call it that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Checks in the mail. The Alumni Award for Professional Achievement recognizes an individual who has reached significant professional achievements through exemplary leadership specific to a chosen career, industry, or entrepreneurial quest. Matthew Weintraub has devoted his life and career to protecting his community by ensuring criminals are charged, convicted, and prosecuted accordingly. Now, the original text had persecuted, and I made sure we changed that. Turning for Bucks County, Pennsylvania. That's a lofty position, Matt. He oversees a staff of about 100 employees, including 38 attorneys, 21 county detectives, and 30 support personnel. His office handles approximately 11,000 criminal cases a year, including 9,000 adult offenders and the rest juveniles. I know for a fact that they used to give Matt directly all the capital murder cases. He had the worst cases and the toughest to prosecute. A Bucks County native, Matt's passion for justice can be traced all the way back to his teenage years, when 4 of his friends died in a tragic drunk driving accident. At Ursinus, he studied politics and was a member of Delta Pi Sigma and the Cub and Key, as well as a resident assistant. Matt excelled as a student and actually amassed enough credits, that's a very funny way to say it, to graduate a semester early. Yeah, you actually did. He officially accepted his diploma in May of 1990. After receiving his Juris Doctorate from Temple University, the Beasley School of Law in '93, Matt leapt into the profession, accepting a role as Assistant District Attorney for Bucks County. Over the course of the next 2 decades, he would progress his career serving Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, and Cape May County, New Jersey, and that's where we have a summer home, a family home. It was good to have you there, Matt. I had finally got some juice when I needed to take care of it. I'm kidding, Matt. In 2016, he was appointed to replace and succeed David Heckler as District Attorney for Bucks County, and was successfully elected by voters for a full 4-year term just recently in 2017. Matt has personally tried more than 100 cases, prosecuting 19 defendants for some level of homicide. And he has 11 successful convictions for first and second-degree murder cases. Many of the cases that he or his offices have prosecuted involve some level of violent crime, drugs, alcohol, or domestic abuse, circumstances that can be disturbing, if not downright painful to handle. Matt's unique tenacity, grit, and strength of character have enabled him to meet the challenge of his work and find favorable outcomes for victims and their families. In my nomination of Matt, I remembered that he is known for being tough but fair, determined and resilient. His motivation has always been the love of family and all children, and his desire to bring justice to the victims of violent crimes, their families, and the public. Matt received some degree of national exposure this past year, as some of you might remember, as he led the missing person and subsequent murder investigation of 4 young men from Bucks County. This resulted in the arrest of cousins Cosmo DiNardo and Sean Kratz. DiNardo pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 4 life sentences in succession. Kratz is still facing trial. More recently, Matt was involved with the investigation of the murders of 5 family members, including 3 children in Morrisville, Pennsylvania. A mother and daughter have been charged in connection with the crime. Both of these cases were widely covered by the national media, such as CNN, Fox, and all the major networks. While he is a self-proclaimed bulldog in the courtroom, Matt shows his more empathic side outside in his daily job. He has served as an adjunct professor at Delaware Valley University, Rowan University, and DeSales University, teaching courses on criminal justice and crime and the media. He is also engaged here at his alma mater, allowing students to shadow him through the college's externship program. Matt has twice been a Big Brother and is past president of the board of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Bucks County. Matt has had, and this is amazing, binaural hearing impairment from birth. In other words, he had an 85% deafness from birth. And here he sits, ladies and gentlemen. Despite the challenges it may present, he has found success both personally and professionally, never letting the disability get in your way. He uses this impairment as a positive force to sharpen his other senses, to hone his analytical skills, to sense the feelings and emotions of others by reading body language, facial expressions, and to curate the courtroom art of jury persuasion. Matt has truly excelled in his career and in his life. Classmate Gina Mishia, class of 1990, said of Matt, "He has always been a stellar example of what a true leader should be and how to conduct oneself. He has achieved so much professionally." Indeed, Matt, you have come so far since your undergraduate days at Ursinus. But Ursinus College will always be proud to call you a bear in recognition of all you have achieved over the course of your career and for the contributions you have made to your profession and your community. Ursinus is honored to present you with the 2019 Alumni Award for Professional Achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you, Uncle Bernie. Thank you, Gina. Everybody, it's a very special privilege for me to be here and be nominated because I know the quality of students that Ursinus graduates regularly. And I think if I could be known for one thing, it's just going with my heart and my gut. And one of the things that my Uncle Bern spoke about that really resonated with me was my sense of family, my mom, and I know that she would be proud of me here. But when you talk about family, one of the things that I try to share with my girls, Chloe and Shayna, and with Kathleen as we raise them together, is we're all in this together. Some days you don't feel like it, but it's the people that you can count on when things are the toughest. And Lord knows I'm not in this position that I've chosen for the money. Frankly, it's not for fame either, because, let me put it this way, every time you see me on TV, it's for something bad. I wish you could see me a little less on TV. But this is the path that I've chosen, and Ursinus has helped me get here. When you talk about family, Ursinus is small, it's intimate. You forge these bonds and these relationships. My dear friend Gina, my dear friend Tony, they're here. It's not a coincidence. Sam Tataro is getting an award with me. I know Sam from Doylestown. It's not a coincidence. And I feel very, very blessed that my uncle would nominate me and come hundreds of miles to see me get this award, that my friend Gina would nominate me and come thousands of miles to see me get this award. It's really an overwhelming experience. A lot of people ask me, why do you do the job that you do, and isn't it tough? And it is tough. It can be very tough. But I believe in it, and I believe in the essential goodness of people, ironically, after putting thousands of them away in jail. Everybody deserves a chance, and everybody deserves a second chance. And you can't judge people by their actions. That's for the judge and the jury to do. You can never forget your humanity. It's so critical to keep that in mind, and I think that that's what enables me to continue to forge onward in a very difficult chosen profession. And frankly, you get a lot of benefit from doing well by doing good, performing good works, and making sure that every night when your head hits the pillow, that you can sleep with a clean conscience. And for the first 25 years of my career, I have fulfilled that mission to myself. And I hope to continue in that mission for many years to come. And just so I remember to embrace this moment, I'll quote Omar Khayyam. He said, "Be happy for this moment, for this moment is your life." Thank you all very much.
At this time, I invite Dr. Susanna Throop to the stage. She has the distinct honor to introduce this year's honoree for the Educator Award.
Good afternoon. That was pretty good. It's really an honor to be here today speaking about Professor Ross Dowdy. And despite the grief I feel, and grief I know many of us feel, it's a pleasure to be able to speak about him as well. My hope is not that we set our grief aside this afternoon, but that we, for a little while, we add some joy in our memories of who Ross was and all he did, and appreciation for his legacy, which remains so vibrant. The Henry P. and M. Page Laughlin Educator Award is given to an individual who has made outstanding contributions in the field of education. Ross Dowdy was an outstanding educator, and he was also a tried and true bear. He was a fixture on the Ursinus College campus, an active participant for a full third of the college's existence. He attended Ursinus, and although sadly he had to leave campus to receive his master's and PhD, it wasn't too long before he found himself back in Collegeville. He then served as a faculty member for 43 years, retiring last spring. His Ursinus journey began in 1964, when he first set foot on campus as a matriculating first-year student. As an undergraduate, he majored in history, which was a smart choice, and he participated in intramural football. He spent, I imagine he was fairly intimidating on the football field. He spent his junior year abroad studying at the University of St. Andrews, where he would go on to encourage so many of his students over the years to study. Upon graduation in 1968, he enrolled at Harvard, where he completed an MA and PhD in European history. And in 1975, he returned to Ursinus and started his long tenure of teaching excellence at the college. He made his mark as an educator, leader, and mentor almost immediately. By 1980, he had already been recognized with the prestigious Lindback Award for distinguished teaching. And in 1993, he was acknowledged as one of the first inductees into the newly created Tau chapter of Phi Beta Kappa, an organization of which he was vice president for 3 years. Truly, Ross was a visionary here at Ursinus. He looked not only to better his own department, but to better the college as a whole. He served as chair of the history department on 2 separate occasions for a total of 19 years. But beyond that, he also lent his leadership to the education department, where he was their acting chair. And he assisted in the establishment of the East Asian Studies program. He was an enthusiastic supporter of the International Relations program, and he steadfastly encouraged students to study abroad. In fact, he served as a co-director of the Ursinus and Tübingen program and was co-leader of the Summer Study in Japan program. Not bad for someone whose stated academic focus was in the histories of Britain, early modern and modern Europe and Germany, and military history. For Ross, bettering Ursinus as a whole was a labor of love, and being a member of the Ursinus community meant working hard and fighting when need be to make it the best it could be. One of his former colleagues, Colette Trout, reflects, Ross was fiercely loyal to Ursinus, which included being critically involved in all of its initiatives and trying to make the place a better one. Never a yes man, you knew where he stood on all issues. And as an educator too, Ross could at times be tough. He expected a lot from his students, but he also taught them the rewards of hard work and a truly open mind. If you brought a passion for learning, Ross would do everything possible to help you learn. He would bend over backwards for his students and for his colleagues as well. Jessica Holt-Smallart from the class of 2004 says of Ross, he was probably the toughest professor I had, but also the one that I look back on with the most affection. Class of 2000 alumna and former colleague Catherine Murray spoke of Ross's impact as a teacher, saying he was the best of what it means to teach at a liberal arts college, student-centered and empathetic. History department colleague Edward Onachi said, it goes without saying that Ross was a mentor and teacher to us all. He was one of the most consistent models of rigor, excellence, ever-timely humor, and positive outlook that I have encountered, and I hope to help maintain the standard that he has modeled. Although Ross spent so much of his career at Ursinus, his impact was much broader as an educator. He spent time overseas through an exchange program as a visiting professor of history and English in Sendai, Japan. And closer to home, Ross was integral in bringing the Bucks and Montgomery County chapters of the National History Day program to Ursinus. We hosted that contest from 1996 through 2018. He was also a member of the Executive Council of the Speaker's House in Trapp, and I know would be so proud of the developments that are going on there now. It's amazing to think how Ross managed to have time for so many responsibilities, but he did. He did it all, and he did it to its fullest. He never believed in giving less than 100%. Indeed, I don't think he believed in giving less than 200%. And that's why he's left such a lasting impact on our community. This college simply would not be what it is today without him. And I know there are thousands, literally tens of thousands, of former and current students whose minds and lives have been shaped by Ross. And many of those former and current students have been expressing their thoughts about Ross over the last couple weeks on social media, and I just wanted to share some of their words with you because they made such an impact on me. There were 3 main themes I saw coming through in their remarks. The first was that Ross changed their lives. As one alum wrote, Dr. Dowdy changed my life when I was at Ursinus. His belief in me made me want to start working hard for what I love. Another alum said, "No professor shaped me more into the person I am today." Many former and current students also spoke about how Ross welcomed them and made them feel valuable and welcomed. Forgive me. An alum from the class of 2010 said, "He believed in me, and I can't explain how important that still is to me." And a current student wrote, "He always made me feel valuable." But in addition, many former and current students also shared those moments they had with Ross that were uniquely Ross, and which they will not forget. An alum said, "I'll never forget the first time I met Ross. I fell asleep at a film screening, and he kicked me in the leg. I'll miss him." And a very recent alum wrote, "If anyone is teaching a group of students this week who hasn't done the reading, please feel free to throw the chalk at them in Dr. Dowdy's memory." 1999 alumnus George Hankins sums it up well when he says, "Ross's heart was always with his students. Sometimes his chalk, but always his heart. And today I say I am a better educator because I knew him and was mentored by him." That's true for everyone who met, collaborated, and learned from Ross. For his many, many years of service at Ursinus College to academic scholarship, for his dedication to the craft of teaching, and his unswerving commitment to the humanity of every student he taught, we are pleased to posthumously recognize S. Ross Dowdy with the 2019 Henry P. and N. Page Laughlin Educator Award.
Thank you, Dr. Throop. You did a great job of getting through that without crying, so let's see if I can too. And thank you to the Advancement Office and to President Blomberg for hosting us this afternoon. My name is Megan Dowdy Shane, and I'm Ross's daughter. Some of you may remember me as a small blonde child running around this campus during the summer Japan exchange programs and other times. It is my honor to be here on behalf of my father and my family to accept this award. He was truly humbled and grateful to be receiving it in recognition of his outstanding contributions in the field as an educator. As many of you know, my father was diagnosed with ALS in October of 2017. He was far from a spiritual man, but he did joke that this was the ghost of Lou Gehrig enacting revenge for all the years that he spent passionately hating the Yankees. There was a cruel irony in the fact that a man of such razor-sharp wit and intellect, who would have given a much better acceptance speech than I am right now in his stead, was quite literally trapped inside a body that failed him. But we are not here today because of his illness. We are here to recognize his outstanding contributions as an educator. And he was just that, a true educator. He earned his place in higher education before the publisher-parish era, and so was truly focused on teaching and mentorship. I know he would have wanted me to express his gratitude for being at an institution that supported this mission, his teaching and mentorship-centric approach, and to thank all of his colleagues, both faculty and staff and administration, who supported him and, yes, argued with him over the years along the way. Shortly after my father's diagnosis, around the time of his retirement, he began receiving a multitude of messages from former students and colleagues, as Dr. Throop mentioned, expressing their gratitude for the impact that he had on their lives. I had some idea of the magnitude of this impact. I do remember he came as a guest lecturer in my world history class when I was in 10th grade at the Agnes Irwin School down the road. And I thought, who is this cool guy who is sitting on the desk and captivating all of my classmates? But in the past few years, I have come to understand that his reach was truly far more expansive. Some of you also know that I am a professor myself now at Hood College in Frederick, Maryland, a similar liberal arts institution. And a while ago, I did something that no professor should ever do, look at ratemyprofessor.com. But I was not looking at my own entries. I was smart enough not to do that. I was curious to see what people were saying about my dad. I ended up laughing and being so touched by these entries that I ended up saving many of them. Not only was he mostly rated as awesome by the students, he was described as the best professor ever, probably my hero. Infamous. Students said he knows everything about everything. Dowdy does not mess around whatsoever. Dowdy is the man. They said, if you care, he will care. All he wants is to see you succeed. One thoughtful Ursinus alumna recently sent me a handwritten sympathy note, reflecting, I hope you take comfort knowing what a profound role he played in shaping young lives. And so for my family, I say yes, thank you. We do take great comfort in this. And I think he would want me to say, well done, and thank you for making so much of the tools that he gave to you. He really did care. He really did want to see you succeed and to see this college succeed. And that, in fact, was his life's work. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. One of the regrets of my time at Ursinus was not having a class with Ross, but I was a colleague of his and always very appreciative of his care and mentorship. And now, it is my distinct pleasure to invite Robert Madonna to the stage. He will be presenting the Service to Humanity Award.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have to say I'm extremely honored and proud to present this award, but I have to say I'm a little intimidated. I happen to notice in the program, all the presenters have a large D after their name, and I have a small d in the middle of my name. So needless to say, I need to do a little more work to catch up. The Alumni Award for Service to Humanity recognizes and pays tribute to an individual who has exhibited outstanding service to society. This could be at the local, state, or national levels, and for the benefit of the community or nonprofit institutions. Samuel Tutara Jr. has emerged as a pioneer and trusted authority in the field of adoption law over the past 4 decades. What can often be an emotionally charged industry when it can result in unparalleled joy or a depth of heartbreak, Sam has been a voice of reason and advocate for best practices. He has changed the lives of thousands, both here in Pennsylvania and throughout the country, as his work has set new standards in adoption law. But Sam's career actually got his start pretty far from the courtroom. He was a chemistry major at Ursinus, though he became deeply committed to helping others through work with the Alpha Phi Omega service fraternity on its campus. After graduation in 1969, Sam worked briefly in a chemistry lab before realizing it was not his true calling. I didn't know that till now. That scares me that he was in a chemistry lab. He enrolled in a law school at the University of Memphis School of Law and received his JD in 1974. He accepted his first real industry job as a law clerk in the Court of Common Pleas, Orphans Court Division in Philadelphia. Former Ursinus classmate Holly Pollock, class of '69, explained Sam's motivations for helping others by saying, Sam's father was a minister who instilled in his son the importance of helping people. Local church leaders trusted Sam for advice on adoption, and his work with adoptions would continue for the rest of his career. Indeed, his career took him to several different law offices, including some that he ran on his own. However, Sam's emphasis always remained on adoption law. Over the years, he has been involved in over 4,000 adoptions of children representing adoptive parents, birth parents, and agencies. Sam gained some notoriety for his involvement in the 1994 Gibbs versus Ernst Pennsylvania Supreme Court case. The case established the right of adoptive parents to be compensated for the failure of adoption agencies to fully disclose all relevant information in their possession to the adoptive parents prior to adoption. Sam served as lead counsel on the case, which has since been cited by over 20 Supreme Courts of other states addressing the same issue. Sam's years of practice and his wealth of knowledge have earned him a reputation as the go-to expert in the field. He was appointed by President Ronald Reagan to serve in the Special White House Task Force on Adoption in 1987, and was an advisor to the National Conference of Commissioners on Uniform State Laws from 1989 to 1994 during the drafting of the Uniform Adoption Act. Furthermore, Sam has served as a member of the Board of Trustees of the National Council on Adoption in Washington, D.C., and is past president of the American Academy of Adoption Attorneys, an international organization composed of attorneys, law professors, and judges specializing in the field of adoption law. Sam was also appointed by the Governor, Tom Ridge, to a committee that was responsible for the revision of Pennsylvania's adoption code. Now, you may have seen Sam during one of his many television appearances over the years. Sam has been on Good Morning America, The Phil Donahue Show, Sally Jesse Raphael Show, Court TV, The Taylor Show, Anderson Cooper Live, and locally on various programs. He has also been cited by Time Magazine, Philadelphia Magazine, Lawyers Weekly, and others. Furthermore, one of Sam's most famous cases was made into a CBS Sunday night movie of the week called A Father for Brittany, which continues to be shown on the Lifetime channel. I think George Clooney played him, I'm not sure at the channel. Kevin Burrow, class in 1969, a former classmate of Sam, said, "Sam is highly respected by everyone in the adoption community. His opinion and counsel is sought by potential parents, by other attorneys, and by adoption professionals working in agencies throughout Delaware Valley." Sam has been a friend of mine for more than 4 decades. He's helped me and others take a small private adoption organization called Golden Cradle and grow it into a full-fledged adoption agency that was featured on Good Morning America and 60 Minutes. He's the kind of lawyer who brings love, compassion, and friendship to all this work. On a personal level, I will say, I've never felt I've been working with a lawyer, but instead a caring, comforting, and knowledgeable friend guiding me through difficult times. Sam's talent and his wonderful life of service has not gone unnoticed. He was designated by Thomson Reuters in June 2004 and 2006 through 2019 as a Pennsylvania super lawyer, a distinction that is given to just the top 4% of Pennsylvania lawyers. He also carries an AV rating by Martinell Hubbard, the highest rating available by his peers to any individual lawyer for professional excellence, legal ability, and ethical standards. In 2004, Sam received the Bucks County Bar Association's Mark E. Goldberg Community Service Award, and 2005, the United States Congressional Angels in Adoption Award. In 2015, he was recognized by the Bucks County Register of Wills with their Friends of Adoption Award. In addition to all he has given back to his community professionally, Sam is also an active volunteer. He is past president of the Richborough and Churchville Rotary Club. He is chairman emeritus of the Board of Trustees of Silver Springs Martha School in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, which is a residential facility for 80 children facing emotional and behavior issues, and a school for over 250 children, having served for over 20 years. Furthermore, he is an elder of the Covenant Presbyterian Church in Buckingham, PA. He has formerly worked in several capacities for the Bucks County Bar Association. Holly Pollock says, "Our 1969 class reunion committee unanimously agrees that Sam is highly deserving of recognition with the 2019 Alumni Award for Service to Humanity." Sam, I think we all agree with the class of 1969 assessment, and Ursinus College is truly honored to recognize you with this 2019 Alumni Award for Service to Humanity. We are grateful for all you have done for children and families, and I also am grateful.
I should tell Bob that Danny DeVito played me, but that's not true. Thank you, my good friend Bob Madonna, and the members of the Alumni Awards Committee for this tremendous honor. I will cherish it immensely. When I received the telephone call from Ursinus notifying me that I had been selected to receive this humanitarian award, I began to reminisce about my days here at Ursinus. And it's amazing how I could walk into the kitchen, I can't remember what I was looking for, but I could reminisce things that happened 50 years ago. During my last few years here at Ursinus, I had the privilege of being the head waiter in the president's dining room. Actually, I was the only waiter in the dining room, so I guess that's why they call me a head waiter. But it was my duty to serve President Helfrich his lunch every day, and sometimes his dinner, and they had board meetings, and they had other people who come in. And one day, very close to graduation, he was eating alone at lunch, and he asked me to sit down with him. And he said to me, "Sam, you look disturbed. What's wrong?" And I told him that graduation was near, that I had a job offer, and I really didn't know whether I was going to like it or even if that was really what I wanted to do. Actually, I didn't tell him, but I just really wanted to stay in college for the rest of my life. He looked at me, and I remember him saying so clearly, "Sam, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." After law school, I was lucky to secure a judicial clerkship with a judge in Philadelphia. There one day I met a very beautiful young lady at the photocopy machine, and one day I asked her if she would like to go to Roxborough Hospital with me and place a baby for adoption. She just stared at me. I felt like it was a good idea for a first date, but she thought it was not. Well, it took me a few years, but she later became my wife, Andrea. And I later informed the Pennsylvania Licensed Adoption Agency, placing newborn infants with her, which she directed and managed. Over the years, she has counseled many, many young women and men and helped them in their decision-making process to give their child what they themselves could not give them, a stable and loving family and a secure home. So in reality, Andrea, part of this award belongs to you. I'd also be remiss at this time if I didn't thank another member of our class of Ursinus 69, Karen Baker Burrell. Karen, with her agency, worked alongside us for all these years as a social worker helping these families to bring home new children. Part of this award goes to you, Karen. And although adoption law and litigation has taken up most of my legal career, I really feel that most of my memorable moments in my life was when I was chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Silver Springs Martin Luther School here in Plymouth Meeting. Their residential facility and school for children sits just down the road in Plymouth Meeting. It's 35 acres, just a few miles down the road. We were responsible for the specialized support and care for more than 2,700 children and their families that face emotional and behavioral difficulties. My good friend Bob Martell is here today, and he was the senior vice president of Silver Springs. And it's his staff and the many volunteers that we work with at this school are true humanitarians. Since they envision a world in which all children know that no matter who they are, where they came from, they matter, and they can reach their highest potential and achieve a stable and bright future. I will share this award with you too, Bob. Everyone has a purpose in life and a unique talent to others. It's when we blend those unique talents with serving others, we will experience joy, which is our ultimate goal in life. Recalling now what President Helfrich told me in the dining room in Whisper just years ago, it wasn't until I lost myself in serving others that I really felt joy and happiness in my life. You know, each and every one of us has the opportunity to help someone else. All we need to do is to help one person, expecting nothing in return. To me, that is being a humanitarian. You don't have to be rich, you don't have to be a lawyer, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't even have to go to college. You just have to help your neighbor and to love our neighbor, the person next to you. Do what you can do to help him or her in any way you can. As I said, this award belongs to all of us in this community who have been helping others, but I'll gladly accept it and take it home with me. Thank you very much for this honor.
And now it is my pleasure invite Dr. Christian Rice, class of 1998, to the stage. He will be presenting the Rising Star Award.
This award recognizes an accomplished young alumnus or alumna for his or her significant contributions to and leadership in the recipient's profession, his or her community, and or the college. It is amazing to say this as such a young alumna, but Elizabeth Cannon, class of 2010, has left a lasting imprint on Ursinus College that may never fade. As a civically minded undergraduate, she helped to establish the Ursinus Center for Advocacy, Responsibility, and Engagement, or UCARE, as it is more commonly referenced on campus. 9 years after its creation, UCARE continues to thrive, serving as a hub for community engagement and social advocacy on campus. At Ursinus, Elizabeth blossomed into an independently minded scholar who is eager to serve others. She created her own major in social ecology and was a member and 2-year captain of the women's lacrosse team, as well as a member of the Model UN and the UC Environmental Action. She presented her own primary research at our celebration of student achievement and was recognized for her excellence with both the Olive Sergeant Ham Award and the Robin Blood Harris Class of '56 Memorial Prize. Elizabeth somehow even found time to spend a semester studying abroad. I'm not sure how she managed to accomplish so much in 4 years. For her independent research project, Elizabeth worked closely with me to conduct a feasibility study on the establishment of a civic engagement center at Ursinus. This led her to develop a blueprint for UCARE, which came to fruition in the fall of 2010. She even came up with a name for the center. Elizabeth was a huge help to me as we grew a vibrant civic engagement culture here at Ursinus, and our accomplishments in those early years of the center were due in large measure to her brilliance and sophistication. I'm going off script here, but I want to say that one of my goals in life is to one day work for her. I hope that can happen one day. After her graduation, Erin Strobel, her lacrosse coach, and the senior associate athletic director, and I appealed to bring Elizabeth on board as a staff member. We didn't want to let her go. She became assistant director of UCARE, coordinator of the Bonner Leader program, and a member of the women's lacrosse coaching staff. Erin says, quote, Elizabeth is the only former player whom I ever invited to be a member of my coaching staff following graduation. She understands that to make a positive difference in the world, she must first exhibit positive behavior herself, and second, lead others to follow her example. As a staff member, Elizabeth continued to work with me to further develop UCARE, taught our students, educating them on themes of diversity, social justice, and community building. Elizabeth moved on to the University of Pennsylvania in August 2014, where she currently works as a senior associate director at their Civic House. She received a Master of Science in Higher Education from Penn in July 2017, and is now pursuing a doctorate of education, also from Penn. Elizabeth's role at Civic House builds upon some of the projects she launched at Ursinus. She is responsible for forging community partnerships, assisting with curriculum development, and facilitating social justice workshops and educational opportunities. She oversees the Community Engagement Internship Program, the Community Partner Liaisons, the West Philadelphia Tutoring Project, and Public Interest Careers Programming. She has already been promoted once since starting at Penn, and I know that she will continue to benefit them as much as she did Ursinus. Outside of work in the classroom, Elizabeth volunteers within her local community, go figure. She is a board member for the Victim Services of Montgomery County, a member of the Caucus of Working Educators, a volunteer for the Teacher Action Group, and a resistor and canvasser for the Juntos Community Resistance Zone. A person like Elizabeth, someone who so wholly cares for others, comes along oh so rarely. She is one of the two most exceptional young people I have ever had the privilege of getting to know since being at Ursinus. She is quite simply an exceptional young woman. Elizabeth, for all that you have done for Ursinus College, for all that you do for the people around you, and for the promise of what your future holds for you, we are delighted to recognize you with the 2019 Rising Star Alumni Award.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Christian, for that kind introduction. I feel truly grateful to be here today. It is a very humbling experience to receive this Alumni Award. I first want to extend a congratulations to my fellow award winners and say that I am honored to be part of this celebration with you. I also want to extend my deepest sympathies to Dr. Dowdy's family and Megan and friends for your loss. While I didn't know him personally, it is clear that he had a tremendous impact on his colleagues, his students, and this institution. Every time I visit Ursinus, I get this calm and comforting feeling wash over me as though I am coming home. For me, home is really about the people that you care for and are cared for by. And so I'd like to say a special thank you to my 3 nominators and dear friends, Erin Strobel, Christian Rice, and Missy Bryant. For me, and largely because of them, Ursinus will always be a place I call home. And the timing of this award seems serendipitous for me. Recently in my life, I've tried to center and reflect on a few questions, both with my students and as a doctoral student about to embark on an arduous dissertation process. The questions of, who am I? What am I practicing? And who am I becoming? When I pause to really engage in these questions, it's truly amazing how much of the answers, and actually the questions themselves, thanks to CIE, are grounded in my experiences at Ursinus. Because of Ursinus, I honed my critical thinking skills, built deep relationships that centered an ethic of love and care, and explored my passions in creating a more just world. These skills and perspectives are inextricably intertwined with my mentors at Ursinus, and thus, this award is really a tribute to them. First, my critical thinking skills were sharpened on day 1 of Reverend Rice's CIE class. I often joke that I had no idea what was going on in that class, but what I did know was that Reverend Rice pushed me to really think in a way that nobody had before. And to be honest, not many people have since. His unique ability to care for you and other students, and challenge you, and this institution, all at the same time was something truly special. Moreover, my experiences with designing my own major, and luckily finding a home within the environmental department, gave me confidence to chart my own academic pathway. Rich Wallace and Patrick Hurley helped me understand the importance of an interdisciplinary problem-solving approach that I still carry with me today, especially in my advocacy and community organizing work. Before starting my first day as an Ursinus student, I knew that I had a caring support system here. I met Erin Strobel about 13 years ago when she recruited me to play lacrosse, and since then she has been a rock in my life. She is one of my biggest influences. I owe a debt of gratitude to her, and actually so do many of my students, because many of the practices of listening, affirming, and connecting with students are all because of what I learned from her. My passions in creating a more just world are a true credit to 2 other alumni, Ambassador Joseph Melrose and Dr. Christian Rice. Ambassador Melrose was a true Ursinus gem. He prioritized helping students by going above and beyond. He pushed me outside my comfort zone on a number of occasions, by making me take his classes and joining Model UN, all of which helped me better understand my place in this world. And to say that Christian Rice has shaped my life in all of these areas would be an understatement. He has helped me understand the critical urgency in fighting for justice and equity. He has modeled for me what it means to have audacity and courage to bring about ideas into reality, UCARE being one of those. He lives his life by loving those around him so deeply. And most importantly, his values and moral compass have, and always will, be true to the very essence and beauty of a liberal arts education, an education that I am deeply proud of. As an alum that cares deeply about this place I call home, my hope is that Ursinus continues to center cultivating experiences for students to develop critical analysis skills, nurturing a palpable ethic of care and relationship building in a community that centers love, and helping students understand their place in advocating for a more just world. For me, I am confident that these lessons that are really grounded in my experience here at Ursinus will continue to shape who I am, what I am practicing, and who I hope to become. In closing, I'd like to thank my family, especially my mom and my sister, for being here today. Their friendship, support, and love is very central to my existence. And the true credit goes to my dad, who passed away a few years ago. Because of him, for too many reasons to name, I am lucky enough to call Ursinus my home. Thank you.
Elizabeth is a classmate of mine, and with the last name of Cannon and Chakowski, we were seated together at commencement, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, we shared 1 or 2 dance parties, impromptu dance parties at the Trout Tavern, so she's a hell of a dancer as well. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome Dr. Ed Onishi to the stage. He will be presenting one of our 2 Student Alumni Awards.
Good afternoon. So I'm delighted to say a few words about Susanna Zelaya Rivera, whom I had the pleasure of meeting in 2015 when she participated in the W.R. Curricular Institute here at Ursinus College. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, it's our bridge program. Every so often, a student comes along whose heart is larger than the words can even describe. Susie is that rare kind of human being. She cares so deeply for others that she has let the passion drive her educational career and inform her plans for the future. Susie's research, her volunteer work, and her extracurriculars are rooted in her innate compassion for others. Susie is a self-designed culture and health studies major with a second major in Spanish. She also carries a minor in Latin American studies. Her Ursinus career began even before the start of her freshman year as a participant in the college's Future program. The summer program aims to provide research opportunities to students traditionally underserved in the sciences and mathematics, pairing them with more advanced peer mentors, as well as faculty members. Susie's time with the program was eye-opening, and she has since participated as a mentor herself. This was just the beginning of what would be a wonderful and very fruitful, yet extremely busy Ursinus experience for Susie. It is hard to imagine how she has managed to become involved with so many organizations on and off campus and still have time to sleep and even grab a meal at Whisper. She's a fellow for both the Parley Center for the Science and the Common Good and the Melrose Center for Global Civic Engagement, as well as a student consultant for the Teaching and Learning Institute and an intern and volunteer for the Harold C. Smith Program in Christian Studies. Each of these roles has demanded a good deal of work, from helping to organize on-campus lecture events to providing analysis and feedback on teaching pedagogies and leading discussion groups and coordinating logistics for an after-school program for Latinx youth. She truly has worn many hats, so to speak. In addition to this work, Susie has immersed herself in research opportunities offered here at Ursinus, but also beyond. She has been involved with Dr. Vanessa Bove's health experiences across the lifespan, or HEAL Lab, where she was a research assistant studying the health and healthcare outcomes of people of color. Her investigations gained her writing credit on a journal article on John Henryism and the physiological health of Black college students, which was published in Emerging Adulthood. This is quite an accomplishment for an undergraduate student. Faculty member and mentor Vanessa Bove says, quote, "Susie is one of the most passionate, driven, and self-motivated students I've ever encountered. With each year she has spent at Ursinus, I've seen her carve out a distinctive and impactful set of experiences that purposefully prepare her to make a difference in our world," end quote. In 2017, Susie was accepted into the highly competitive Developing Researchers to Improve Healthcare Value and Equity, or DRIVE, internship program at Thomas Jefferson University. This offered her the opportunity to spend that summer working alongside other undergraduates, but also graduate students, to conduct research on health disparities. The experience further supplemented Susie's interest in the topic. Susie has somehow managed to be just as active and engaged within the community as she has been on Ursinus' campus and through her research endeavors. She's been involved with Acklamo Family Center in Norristown, at the Hospice Center in Villanova, and at a healthcare clinic in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Susie is also on the Youth Advisory Board for the Steve Fund and a medical assistant for Panda Bear Pediatrics. And this is just the work that she's done regionally while pursuing her studies at the college. Susie has also traveled overseas, spending a semester studying abroad in Nicaragua, working at a volunteer medical relief center in Costa Rica, and most recently, working as an intern writer for Project Hope in the Dominican Republic over the 2018 winter break. The accolades for Susie come in from both faculty and her peers. Class of 2018 student, Tammy Olafunmiloye says, quote, "She's an extremely high academic achiever and never fails to put others first," end quote. Faculty member Leah Joseph says, quote, "Susie is an exceptional student with amazing self-motivation and drive. She sets goals, works hard to achieve them, and appreciates any opportunity she receives." Susie's goals for after Ursinus include working with communities of color before pursuing her master's or doctorate in health policy. She would like to open her vocation to health policy and work to address health disparities around the world by empowering communities. Susie has already had a significant impact on the lives of many here within our local Ursinus community and those she has served during her time abroad. We envision great things for her as she lets her heart continue to guide her journey forward. So, Susie, you're an inspiration to all of us, and Ursinus College is delighted to honor you with the 2019 Senior Alumni Award.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. O. I'm very grateful for this award. I want to thank my parents and siblings for their unconditional love and teaching me all about work ethic. They set the bar very, very high. Thank you to professors. I try to condense this list, so bear with me. Like Dr. Coe, Dr. Shu, Dr. Price, Dr. Lope, Dr. O, Dr. Leah Joseph, Dr. Robert Dolly, Diane Scarina, Dr. Evans, and so many more for creating spaces in and outside of their classroom for a first-generation immigrant student of color. I wouldn't have accomplished half of my opportunities without their guidance, pushing me to excel and accomplish things that I couldn't even envision for myself, and for their support. My friends in Cloak House, I can't even begin to describe the love, the smiles, the laughter, and the tears we've shared these 4 years. You all have been
my compass, my sunshine, and so much more on this campus. Thank you to the staff at Advancement in Communications. My friends and parents joke that I'm a superstar Ursinus celebrity, but thank you for allowing me to share my story through my words. You've given me more than an Ursinus statistic. You've made me more than an Ursinus statistic. On the first day of our curricular class, Dr. O told us scholars, and he made sure we never forgot it. I've taken that word and applied it to local and international communities. Working with communities that look like me has been a privilege. I found a home away from home, and my Ursinus experience has never been easy. Trust me, I've had more failures than successes. But in 35 days, yes, I have a countdown, I know that every experience at this institution has prepared me for the next chapter of advocacy, learning, and applying my knowledge. My degree at Ursinus is beyond a GPA or piece of paper. People like me and my background in this country and in higher education aren't meant to be in spaces like Ursinus. But I did it, and I will continue challenging and breaking barriers, never being silent or complacent, and creating tools of empowerment for people that have often been trapped in systems of oppression. And I hope, as I turn the next page of my unwritten autobiography, that I have made the faculty and staff and alumni of the school proud. In the words of one of my favorite authors, James Baldwin, I am what time, circumstances, history have made me, certainly, but I am also much more than that, and so are we all. Thank you.
And now, I will introduce Dr. Scott Deagle to the stage. He will be presenting our second Student Alumni Award and final award for the day.
Good afternoon. The last one, I'll try to get through this. But before that, I want to ad-lib before my own prepared remarks, a tribute to Dr. Ross Dowdy. I noted from the program, he started here the year I was born. And when I got here, though, he welcomed me with open arms, and stayed in touch, supported me through a very grueling pre-tenure process here, and even sent me an email from Maryland back in November I think he was congratulating me on becoming department chair. So Ursinus is blessed, lucky, all those superlatives to have had Ross Dowdy here. He's truly an institution within the institution. But next I'll turn to someone your program says is Jonathan Myers. We all know him as Johnny Myers. I don't think it would be a stretch to call Johnny Myers an overachiever. For himself and the world around him, he continually sees how he can take things from average or good and move them to extraordinary. And I can definitely attest to that from my own experience. Johnny is double majoring in applied economics and English. And when he graduates next month, he will leave Ursinus College a better place than when he first stepped foot on campus 4 years ago. Let's first talk about personal excellence. Johnny was inducted into our Cub and Key Honor Society, an exclusive group that honors male leaders on campus who have distinguished themselves both through their high scholastic standing, participation in extracurricular activities, and service to the college community. Furthermore, Johnny is a member of Sigma Tau Delta, which is the English Programs Honor Society, and Omicron Delta Epsilon, the Honor Society of our Business and Economics Department, and he has received Dean's List recognition nearly every semester he's been at Ursinus. He slacked off last semester. Outside the classroom, Johnny has been a member of the swim team all 4 of his years at Ursinus. As a former swimmer who only made it through 2 years of college swimming, I can say that in itself is an achievement. He has appeared as a finalist at the Centennial Conference Championship multiple times, competing in the truly difficult events, the distance freestyle events, 1,500 yards of freestyle, 1,000 yards of freestyle. Ladies and gentlemen, that's like 20 lengths, 20 laps, 40 lengths. I don't even know what the number is for the 60s. Yeah, he also does the hardest event, the 200-yard butterfly, 8 lengths of butterfly. Just this past winter, he was selected for the conference's all-sportsmanship team, a testament to his outstanding character, leadership, and value as a teammate. Additionally, Johnny has also written for the Grizzly, yes, our campus newspaper, since his freshman year, writing dozens of articles and serving in the thankless job as a copy editor. Johnny's pursuit of excellence has not only benefited him, he has had a lasting impact on the college as a whole. He actually has an interest as well in beekeeping, and that led him to start a beekeeping club at Ursinus. From that venture, he and another student developed Low Hive, a concept for creating organic honey that applies new technology to automate the process. He entered the idea into the Imagine Center's 2017 Bear Innovation Competition and received the Ready, Set, Go award in recognition of how well developed the plan was. But perhaps his most notable accomplishment here, and the one that's most dear to my heart, has been his work with the Student Investment Club. Johnny, his sophomore year, saw an opportunity that existed to make this club something bigger and much more impactful for students than it was. I was the advisor to the club at the time and still am the advisor to the group. So as a sophomore, he rallied other members to boldly ask the administration for money, for a grant that would allow them to manage a portfolio with real money. Up until then, they had only been doing simulations online. And through this bold effort, they eventually received funding from the late Reverend Dr. Harold C. Smith, class of '55, who was then a trustee of the college, and he got the fund up and running. And got that money just roughly 3 or 4 weeks before Reverend Smith passed. Fast forward to now, 2 years, and the fund now has more than $60,000 in assets under management, with some of that generated from investment returns and some of it generated from unsolicited donations from alumni impressed by the student fund manager's work. Johnny saw the need and the benefit of having something like this. He planted the seed, we've watched it grow, we're going to continue to watch it grow after he graduates, and I'm sure he's going to stay very involved with the effort, and I think it's going to really produce a lot of both monetary returns and academic and all kinds of other returns for the college. We've transitioned this from a club activity with only 6 students to a full-fledged 1-credit course called USIMCO, that stands for Ursinus College Investment Management Company. We have roughly 35 students from multiple majors, including the distinguished Susie Zelaya Rivera, and a variety of backgrounds participating. The fund has a portfolio for beginners with little or no background in finance, as well as one for more experienced students to learn institutional endowment and investment strategies. Johnny has given this initiative so much contemplation, and even now in his last semester, he's setting it up to be successful after he graduates and moves on. I can tell you I fielded inquiries from other colleges who are starting up their own investment funds, and they want to know how they can emulate what we have started here at Ursinus. So this should really be a point of pride for him. Accolades have poured in for Johnny. Faculty mentor and advisor John Volport, director of the creative writing program here, has worked extensively with Johnny and says, "He is a smart, caring, and delightful human being. We want him to be a friend and booster for UC for years and years to come." One of his peers, Courtney Duchesne, also from the class of 2019, says, "Johnny cares deeply about contributing to UC's legacy and supporting the students here even after graduation." It's amazing to think that commencement day will soon be here and Johnny will be leaving us. He's prepared himself well for this next step, having studied abroad one summer at Oxford University, participating in summer internships, one in an investment management company, another at a tax accounting firm. After graduation, Johnny will be pursuing a master's in quantitative finance down the road at Drexel University, with the goal of one day working in institutional investment and endowment management. And certainly his experience here has prepared him well for that path. Johnny, you've really made the most of your time here, and that's a fact. And you've distinguished yourself as someone capable of making a lasting impact. Thank you for all that you have done for Ursinus College, and in recognition of your many achievements, we are proud to name you a 2019 recipient of the Senior Alumni Award.
thank you everyone for coming today. I have a long list of thank yous as well, so I'll go through that. I'd like to first thank my parents who have supported me this far along my journey. They've encouraged me to be the best person I can be and follow my passion for science, which has been fantastic. I'd like to also thank members of my immediate family, my close family, Amy Meyer sitting here in the audience today, who has been there for me at every sort of meeting, which has been fantastic. I'd like to thank the College Board and Administration for developing the infrastructure and the necessary tools to build out the programs here at Ursinus, especially the faculty and staff, particularly Dr. John Baltimore, Dr. Scott Daigle, and Professor Rick Parnell, who have been there during the good times and bad, who have been there for my moments of personal frustration and aspiration. I'd also like to thank the student body at large, whom without this would not be an operational facility. The student body does a fantastic job and has such a broad range of interests that keep me intellectually stimulated. So I'm very thankful for that. When I came to Ursinus, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that I liked writing, and I knew that I liked literature. That was a passion from high school, and I knew that I wanted to participate in finance and economics in some large way. It was completely vague as to what I would be doing with those set of interests for the first 2.5 years here, which is incredible because Ursinus has consistently given me the opportunity to pursue interests that don't fit into a particular mold. I was never forced to compromise into following one certain passion. So I've been able to major in both applied economics and English, as well as swim here for all 4 years, as well as work with Dr. Scott Daigle on the investment management company. So this brings me to what I think the special thing about Ursinus is. It's 150 years old, and there is no template of a model student. Particularly, Susie and I have done very different things on campus, but we were both given the opportunity here to succeed. Ursinus truly is a special place where students from all different interests and from all different backgrounds can come and learn and be a family. Thank you.
I think this group deserves one more round of applause. To the award recipients this afternoon, we take great pride in calling you Ursinus graduates and congratulate you on your life's work thus far. I personally can't wait to see what they do next. You and your accomplishments increase the prestige of an Ursinus education and bring honor to our alma mater, so thank you. To our other guests here today, thank you for gathering to celebrate with the Ursinus family. I encourage you all to interact with us in the coming year as we celebrate our 150th anniversary as a college, and we hope you enjoy rediscovering campus. I will ask that the Alumni Award recipients remain on stage for a group photo with President Blomberg. Thank you all, and go Bears.